Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the deep dive. I love the deep dive, and I personally don't think that I talk about it enough because it is the one session that we have every month at the end of the month to really solidify all of the work that we've done and bring it all up, tie it up in a nice bow, and really send you off with either a solid idea of where you want to go, or maybe you've heard from enough of our guides and you've realized, okay, I would love to get help on this and I would love to have my own guide. Or maybe you are waiting for the mentorship session to see some of the ways that we can actually bring in real life, tangible work into what we're doing. So I'm so grateful that you are all here. Drop 111 in the chat if this is your first Life Guides interaction. Drop 222 in the chat if you are back for more. And we are so excited to have you. So this month has been all focused on self-esteem and self-image. A couple of the things that you'll notice are that we have monthly programming, and the whole entire monthly programming was built upon what are the top topics that everyone schedules their Life Guides calls for. So we wanted to build this public platform for our members where you could build a relationship with our guides and also get realistic support, feedback, guidance, tangible action tips to start moving in these areas that most of us are looking for support in. I also wanted to showcase our amazing guides and give you different personalities, perspectives, different realms of experience that you could start to relate to so that you could build a relationship with these people who ultimately are here to support you on your journey and help you get to where you want to go. And it's been really interesting because I read all the surveys that you all fill out. Thank you so much every time you fill out the surveys at the end of our sessions. It is so helpful and provides me so much insight. But one person said, I'm open to being on these events, but I don't want to try life guides because I have a real therapist. And the really cool and different thing between life guides versus therapy is more of a scholastic model. Do you guys remember the scholastic books that we used to get in school? If any of you are millennials, you might remember that. Oh my gosh, I just had a crazy flashback. But it's a little bit more scholarly. So it's not necessarily that they've been through the life events that they're helping you through, but they have the knowledge and the wisdom to help you dig into your own journey and start to work through it. And that in and of itself is so helpful. I have therapists. I also have a life guide, actually multiple life guides. And life guides are different because the whole entire premise of life guides is that our guides have been through something similar that you have, and they're here to help you grow because they've walked that path. They know the struggles, they know the ups and downs. They can tell you, hey, if you move that way, you might experience this, but if you adjust and pivot this way, you might experience this. So it's that real life lived perspective where they can help you map out your life in sometimes more meaningful ways. Therapy has its place. We do not do therapy. We are not trying to be therapists in any way, shape, or form. But a lot of us just need help getting to where we want to go. And that's where Life Guides gets to support you on your journey. So let's see what's going on in the chat. Let's see. So we've got quite a few of you who are here for the first time. Congratulations. So we've got Heather, Chelsea, Sarah, Myrna, Dave, Colin, Ned. Oh my gosh, I love having you here. I love that you all know the scholastic events that I was talking about because oh my gosh, I just got transported like crazy. So, we have a really cool session today. We have the beautiful Tatiana, which some of you may have already built a relationship with. I've had her on sessions throughout our months. She was with us last month and she is here with us now as well. And we are going to be diving into self-esteem and self-image. So we've had Motivational Monday all month leading up to today, our deep dive, which is where we take 60 full minutes and dive in. And then tomorrow, Tatiana and I are meeting up, same time, same place, and doing a deep dive mentorship, which the technicalities of Zoom don't matter other than for you to know that a webinar is where you have two panelists or multiple panelists, and you guys can't share your voice or your face or really anything. But we're going to be meeting style tomorrow where you can share your voice, your face. We've got a worksheet that we're going to help you all workshop in regards to your self-esteem and self-image. And we'll be diving in even deeper and giving you a live mentorship session together. So I would highly suggest meeting us for that. I'm going to drop the link in the chat after I give Tatiana her introduction. But we have the beautiful Tatiana here, and her superpower is that she guides individuals through life's most challenging transitions, transforming pain into purpose and empowering them to find strength, healing, and renewal through holistic practices and compassionate support. Thank you so much, Tatiana, for being here. Can you tell us a little bit more about your story with self-esteem and self-image and why this conversation is important to you today?
Yes. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Kara. I love that you share about life guides and that we, as guides, we are here to share our personal experience. So, my personal experience and how did I start like realizing, that my self-esteem and self-image were based in in society and family expectations. I started developing chronic pain, and I live with chronic pain for like about 15 years, even a little more. Right from the beginning, I felt like deep inside of me that it wasn't an illness, it wasn't something that I can go to the doctor, although I went several times just to make sure I didn't have anything serious or anything physical yet. But from what I was always felt, it was emotional. It was something deeper in a spiritual and an emotional level. So in that, when I started developing this pain, I started looking into different trainings and energy work and healers and just searching everything, meditation, yoga. Eventually, I was led into shamanism, and I worked for many years with plant medicine. Although plant medicine, shamanism is not all about plant medicine. It's about really the connection that we have with the earth and with the animal kingdom. And is if we see the animal kingdom, they don't have judgments. They don't have this self-esteem, whether I'm beautiful, I'm too much, and I'm too little, I should not. The lion doesn't say, let me don't be so strong. And the hummingbird doesn't say, let me be so sweet. And that to me was a great, great teaching to be welcoming to this plant medicine and open to see how nature, how the land and how animals work. And it was a great, they were great teachers. What I was seeing myself, where I push myself down, where I suppress my anger, where I suppress my beauty, where I suppress all my emotions. So the plant medicine and just facing back to see the nature, she started teaching me is like you're not being truly yourself. You're having an image based on what you learned when you were a child and growing up with family and society. So that was to me really, really, really powerful and something that I continue doing. They're great teachers. Something that I was even talking with Kara the other day, it's about just to give an example, when I used to go, that's maybe 20 years ago or even more, yeah, like 18, 20 years ago, go to bars or to go to parties, you get like a little bit of drink just for me to get comfortable in my own skin and be myself. And when I went through that transition and I stopped and I was like, this is not making me happy. I have chronic pain. I go out once in a while, I get a drink and I have fun and I try to make this personality based in conditioning. And it was not working for me. So that's one of the transitions I did. I stopped drinking and I realized when I went out with friends how uncomfortable I felt because I didn't know how to act. So it's a transition where you start really going into that inner power and your my own personality and authenticity without needing anything, dressing or drinking or putting makeup or covering myself. And going through this journey into plant medicine and just going inside of me, it can be messy. It's scary because you have to see and feel parts of myself and traumas that happened many years ago where I pushed myself. So that's basically my story, chronic pain. And I lived for 15 years and I'm free of pain. And every day I feel just more confident and more myself. And I have more opportunities in my life because I'm showing to the world as me, not as all these layers and faces that society just helped me to put on. So that's my story.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I feel like probably a lot of us can relate to different parts of your story, Tatiana. So if any of you are here right now and you're like, wow, I relate to certain parts of Tatiana's story, you can drop 333 in the chat because I feel like we all go through similar things. I feel like a lot of our pain points are similar, but we feel them uniquely in who we are. And I wanted to share Tatiana's story and for us to start to feel okay, I'm not the only one going through these things. There are other people who have gone through this, but I also want to hear your story as well. So I'm going to put a poll up on the screen. It's multiple choice, it's 9 questions. It's not anything crazy, but we want to get a little bit of your feedback in regards to where you're at. And this will inform parts of the conversation that we're going to have today. And it's also going to inform parts of the conversation that we'll have during the mentorship session tomorrow. So the self-esteem and self-image poll should be up on the screen right now. And I'm going to walk you guys through the questions, but feel free to answer them at your own time. These results will not be shared with your name or anything along those lines, but we will talk about where the majority of us are during this call, and it'll inform a little bit of the conversation that we have. So if for some reason you can't see it, please, you can drop in the chat, but I think you all should see it. So the first question is which statement best describes your current self-image? We have everywhere from I have a clear and positive view of myself to I feel unclear or disconnected from who I am. We have how would you rate your current self-esteem? Some of us feel high in our self-esteem. We feel confident in our value and our abilities. Some moderate, we feel confident in some areas, but not all. And some of us are low or unsure, where we often question our values and abilities, or our value and abilities, or we just don't even see them at all. One question that we love is how are your self-image and self-esteem currently working together? Which I don't think I read the definitions for self-esteem and self-image as we opened up the session, just because we were dealing with all the technological issues, but I'll read to you also the differences between self-esteem and self-image so you can have those in your toolbox. Self-esteem is the confidence and satisfaction that you have within yourself. And self-image is the idea that you have of your abilities, appearance, and personality. So the difference, your self-image is how you view yourself, and your self-esteem is how you feel about how you view yourself. So they're nuanced, right? They do play both into each other, but there's a little bit of difference, a little bit of nuance in between them. So, how are your self-esteem and self-image currently working together? For some of you, they might be strongly supporting your growth. For some of you, you might notice that sometimes they support you, or maybe they're often holding you back. How would you describe your typical internal dialogue? Some of you might find it to be mostly supportive and encouraging, a mix of supportive and critical, mostly critical or self-doubting, or I haven't paid much attention to it. And I think these are important things to talk about as well. Even sometimes I talk to our guides after we do Motivational Monday or the deep dive, and they're like, was that good? Did I do okay? And I'm like, you did amazing. And I get the message back afterwards, and they were like, okay, cool. I noticed self-doubt was creeping in. So it is a part of the process. We do experience a lot of emotions. I think I know that if I don't get good sleep, I will have a lower self-image. Absolutely. I also know that if I'm not hydrated or fed enough, or if I'm even leading up to the start of my cycle, I typically am struggling a little bit more internally. And it's just a part of the process. But knowing ourselves helps us really get to the point of being able to one, honor where we're at, but then two, maybe play the fun game of seeing who we can become, because we can't go anywhere if we don't know where we're at right now. The next question is, in what situations do your self-image and self-esteem most impact your behavior? Some of the options are speaking up in meetings, taking on new opportunities, receiving feedback, setting boundaries, sharing ideas or opinions, or interacting with peers or leadership. We have another question. What most negatively affects your self-esteem or self-image? And we have the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, comparison to others, past experiences, perfectionism, lack of clarity or direction. How consistent is your self-image with how you show up in your day-to-day work and interactions? We range from everywhere to not consistent at all to very consistent. How open, I love this question and I love seeing the answers that are already here. How open are you to strengthening your self-esteem and self-image? Very open, somewhat open, unsure, or literally not open at all. And the last question is, how ready are you to take action to improve them? Some of you are ready now, some of you are interested and not fully ready, and some of you are just exploring, which that's a part of the journey. So I will leave this up for maybe another 60 seconds. Tatiana, do you have anything to share regarding these questions as they're finishing filling them out?
Yes. So, I think to me, my own experience, my self-image it's been really just a huge transition in the last few years by really having the courage to go deep inside of me, whether it's journaling or meditation, and see really those aspects where I feel less or I'm not confident or I didn't feel beautiful if I don't have a certain clothes or makeup or things like that. So really having the courage to do, I want to do the work and I really want to go with the inside. I think it makes a huge difference. So I'm really like just a huge difference between like 2 years ago and right now. So I think it's no, I know it is possible when we truly commit to ourselves and to our work and have the courage to do this, and our life just changes, and our opportunities, our relationships with the family, with partners and business. So it's worth it.
I love that.
I
We'll
love
give
it.
you all another 15-ish seconds. But one of the things that I'll say, and science actually proves it, the way that you see yourself is a huge determinant into the life that you actually live. So the way you see yourself
Mm,
opens and closes certain doors. So for Tatiana
mm,
to say that there's been such a huge shift over time, her working with the self-image and watching her life change to match it, we only go through doors that we think that we're worth going through or that we think are available to us. And the way you view yourself will
mm,
determine the doors that you think are open or closed for you.
mm. And that's that inner talk too, because when we have a negative inner talk, our brain, our mind doesn't make any difference. That's the truth. You're telling the truth, and that's what you're gonna manifest.
Thank you all so much
Okay.
for participating. I am going to end the poll now. And I'm going to share the results. So you should have the results on your screen and we can kind of look through them together. Um, Most of us, when it comes to describing our current self-image, most of us see our strengths but tend to focus on our weaknesses, which I think that's a great place to start. The fact that you're even aware of your strengths is so huge because a lot of people do not. And then we also have some people who feel unclear or disconnected from who they are. And I think that's also very normal from what Tatiana and I see on a regular basis. How would you rate your current self-esteem? A lot of us are sitting between low and moderate. We either often question our value or abilities, or we feel confident in some areas, but not all. I think I started mentorship 6, 7 years ago. I feel so much more confident in who I am because I've been mentored, because I have people who can see my greatness and remind me of the things that I can't see in myself, because life is a wild roller coaster ride. And to have to hold that trust in yourself alone 24/7 can be a burdensome journey. How are your self-image and self-esteem currently working together? We're fluctuating between they sometimes support me and sometimes hold me back, or they often hold me back. How would you describe your typical internal dialogue? We see a little bit of mostly supportive, encouraging. We're seeing mostly critical or self-doubting. So this is really important. I see you taking notes, Tatiana. Mostly critical, mostly self-doubting, and then we also have a mix of supportive and critical. In what situations do your self-image or self-esteem most impact your behavior? I love that setting boundaries is the top one because setting boundaries is one of the most important things that we can do, but it is also some of the hardest things that we can do. And next month, we are doing our remote/flex work and productivity. And the first session is how to avoid burnout at work. And it does talk about boundaries. We're also struggling in the areas of receiving feedback and taking on new opportunities as well. What most negatively affects your self-esteem? Fear of failure, fear of judgment, and perfectionism are the top ones that we see. And then how consistent is your self-image with how you show up in your day-to-day work? We're sitting anywhere between somewhat consistent and mostly consistent for most of us. Most of us are very open to strengthening our self-esteem and self-image, and most of us are ready to take action to improve our self-esteem and self-image, and some of us are just exploring. So those are the results of the survey itself. One, so you all can understand that you're not alone, but two, so that we can see, okay, there are some places that we can grow through, places that we can work through as well. So, Tatiana, knowing all of those results, before we dive into the rest of our questions, is there anything that maybe brought up for you that you wanted to share, or should we dive into the questions?
I just want to say something short there. I think, I don't remember all the questions, but some of them that where I see that a big percentage of you guys that can see your gifts, and I think that's amazing because we can see that. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Not that there is an end because it's a continuation all the time. And but also también emphasize that it's important to see those shadow places because those shadow places have a lot of magic. Yes, they're uncomfortable places, but those places are the ones to have the key to open to more magic and to more of your own, to your gifts. And I also say, you want to say that it's beautiful that is a big percentage of people that are ready to walk this path and they see their greatness and they say, okay, let's dive in it, deep dive. That's all.
Exactly.
Thank you. Deep dive.
We're doing the deep dive, baby. So I want you all to drop 444 in the chat if you were surprised by some of these answers, maybe that you saw from others or maybe that you received from yourself, because these are not questions that we're often asked. So this might be the first time that we've ever even thought of it. And we're like, oh, wow, I didn't expect myself to be there, or oh, I didn't expect the whole group to be there. Yeah, a lot of you are surprised. And maybe surprised in a great place, maybe surprised in, oh, maybe we're all a little bit lower than I expected. Or maybe, wow, I'm not the only one going through this. So we heard a little bit about Tatiana's story and where she came from, the struggles that she went through. And today we're going to hear a decent amount of Tatiana's story. This story is going to help you all see the ways that transformation is real and that growth is inevitable, and that maybe you can start your journey as well, especially for those of you who are ready to start making some change. So, Tatiana, we knew you were struggling, chronic disease, not really being your true authentic self. What was the breaking point that made you realize that something needed to change?
Well, so the breaking point, it just started to get really, really bad. I started developing like a fibromyalgia, which is a very painful condition. Like the pain to me used to be just in one part of the body where I used to just hold myself back. It was the holding myself back of bringing all this wonderful energy and authenticity and gifts. So I started developing into fibromyalgia, and it was very painful. And it also, of course, depression, anxiety, and just I got to the point that I wanted just to give up. I really started contemplating the idea of like, how do I end my life? And my biggest concern, I was like, wow, I live in the United States and my family live in the other side of the world. I was like, what about them? That was my worry. But at some point I was like, I don't care really. I have so much pain. I'm struggling. Nothing is working in my life because walking with chronic pain and depression, I feel like a fog. Like nobody could see me, I could not reach opportunities. My relationships were like horrible, personal relationships, everything. So it was foggy. Although I feel like I had all these gifts and all this to give to the world, but I couldn't because this fog, it was like people were not connecting with me. And that's where I see like we start attracting different things when we start like doing the work. And I was doing back then, I was already doing plant medicine. And that's something that I want to say about this. I stopped doing it for many years because a lot of what happened here, we do plant medicine and walk into these beautiful places or these dark places, and we do a lot of work, but it has to be processing. It has to be a continuous work. So I then going through with therapies and just with people, friends that they can see me, that I can talk openly, they can see my gifts because I even got at that point, I got into a relationship that we become really good friends. And he used to tell me all the gifts, all the beauty, like things that I used to do just naturally that I couldn't see that there was a gift. He would tell me, but oh my God, you're beautiful. You should do a video with this. You should do this. So when you have someone, and it can be a lifeguard, a psychology, a friend, a family member, then you're like, oh, I have good things. And that when that point, I was like, I didn't want to take my life. That person, that angel came into my life, and that was for many years the only person in my life, helped me to see that, and I could see a little light, and I was like, I'm too precious and I have too much to give the world to give out right now. I'm talking about, I already was going through my maybe 13, 12 years of chronic pain. And and it was scary because even when people, and this friend would tell me beautiful things about myself, it was really hard to receive. It was like, no, that's not me. So then I started going to do more grounding work because with plant medicine is really at this high consciousness, but work is really important, like having a therapist to really talk, or a life guide, or a friend that you can, you can mirror back. They can tell you aspects of yourself, shadow aspects and light aspects that we cannot work on our own. So that's a little bit what I want to share.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing.
Mhm.
I feel like you said it towards the end. You had to learn how to receive and how to hear that you're amazing. And I feel like a lot of the times, and some of you who are on here right now might relate to this, people tell you things that you're good at. And instead of listening and saying, I know, wow, thank you so much, you push it away. But those places are going to be the places where you're naturally gifted. And most likely, if people see it in you over and over and over, maybe it's time to start trusting that. And if you trust that, you might see a boost in your self-image, and you might see a boost in your self-esteem, and you might start to see new doors opening because you finally can see the greatness that you have within yourself. As Tatiana is sharing her story, we do have a Q&A box at the bottom. I think if you go to, it'll either say Q&A on the bottom, or you press more and go to Q&A. You can drop a question either in the chat or in the Q&A box, and we can make sure that it's answered. So if there's something that she's saying and you're like, oh, I would love to have more insight on that. What is the difference between a light aspect and a shadow aspect? Or how do I do more grounding work? We can make sure to answer your questions in real time. So, thank you both so much for your feedback in the chat as well.
Yeah.
So, Tatiana, what did you have to go through as you were transforming your self-image?
Wow, it was messy, You think it's like, oh, you see this beautiful. Okay, so let's say this friend, it was feeding me back with all these beautiful gifts that he saw in me. And it was so uncomfortable because I was not able to receive. So in order for me to open to receive, first I had to realize that I was not receiving. I was closed. I built up a wall on myself. So tearing that wall and being vulnerable is really messy. It's really messy. I went through a lot of struggle of just opening up, and but little by little I start having new opportunities, like open as I was doing this shadow work and seeing also my light and my gifts. There were little doors opening with opportunities, and I was going there, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take this opportunity. But I was so afraid, like let's say just new jobs, different that I was used to. And I saw a little bit of an opening, but it was behind the scene of what I was showing. There was a lot of crying, there was a lot of grieving because I have to grieve that all aspect of myself. So It's messy. It can be really messy and going is scary too because you go into those dark places and you start having memories of, like for me, of memories of childhood where I was pushed down or I was neglected or in school, bullying, and it can be really, really messy. Also, like what happened to me is like I started losing a lot of friends. So it was really lonely. And this partner that I had at the time, it was the only person I realized that a lot, like for me, it was like a 90% of my community and the people that I built out my life with, they were based on someone else. They were not based on me. So just letting go of those friendships, it was really difficult because I felt like I was living all those years, I was living a fake life, which I was living a fake life. So it gets hard when you have to let go of what you think it was for you and friends. But at the same time, having that time that for me was a few years of pretty much being on my own and learning to know myself and love myself, the good days, the bad days, which I still do because I have bad days where I'm struggling with something. I was like, you know what? You feel a little under the weather, just love that part of you. And it's about loving. When you're in those messy days, that's when we must need like to love ourselves, like what medicine is in this messiness. Why I feel like I'm scrambling and I'm like just in my mind and I used to like say to myself that get yourself together. Don't be like that's the voice again, judgmental. No, I feel like this, I feel it. So it's really embracing those parts. Those are the shadow parts because sometimes in my mind it was a shadow part is like I'm gonna see this big monster of something that it happened to me and it was really scary. It was just those in the day-to-day things to realize what parts of me I'm judging and I'm not holding with love and care. And that's when we need to hold ourselves more, you know, accept our messiness.
Accept the messiness. I love that. And I think it's really interesting that you talk about us when we're doing this work feeling like, oh my gosh, if I start doing this work, this big, huge monster is going to come out of me and overwhelm me. Because we do have a survey that pops up at the end. And in the survey asks, why haven't you started using life guides yet? And some of the answers that you all provide when you select other says, I'm afraid of what's going to come up. And I think can you share a little bit of insight on that specifically, Tatiana?
Yes. And it makes me laugh that because I laugh about myself, how I really felt that it was a big monster, or a big emotional thing. And I pushed myself like I didn't do it for many years. And it's actually really funny. It's beautiful because we start seeing ourselves like really like laughing about things that we're judging ourselves. And there's so much medicine in it. That weird things that we have, those weird things are the things that the world is needing and the other people is needing from us. So it's really because shadow, yeah, it looks like it's scary, like going to the shadow place, but it's not. It's beautiful. And I will guide you through a little meditations at some point towards the end, just to learn to go inside and bring in a memory of whatever you maybe your childhood and just nurture that part of you. Nurture that 5 years old, 6, 7 years old. It's not about being scared of going inside of that part and seeing that piece of our soul that got disconnected. It's about love. It's not about fear.
So beautiful. And one of the things I've even learned on my own journey is I'm a grown woman. I think a lot of the times when we acquire these pain points that we don't look at for a long time, we usually didn't have the support systems or the faculties or the internal awareness to start looking at it. So it feels like it's this big, deep, dark monster because, like Tatiana said, it might have been 5 years old when we were compared to our sibling and we were told, don't be like that, be like your sibling, be like your sister, whatever it is. And at that point, it felt really deep and painful. And because we haven't looked at it, it feels like it's going to hold that same charge. But really, we're grown adults here. And that doesn't mean I don't say grown adults in the way of like, we're grown adults, we got to handle everything, but more so in the ways of we've been through a lot. We've made it through a lot. Drop 555 in the chat if you've endured a lot in your life and you've made it out on the other side. That reminder in and of itself should give us a little bit. I love seeing the chat flowing with the fives. That in and of itself should give us the ability to advocate for ourselves and realize, okay, maybe the thing that I need to look at feels like crazy right now, but it's only because it felt crazy then, and now I'm good. I got myself. Like I know how to hug myself. Maybe I tell myself I love myself every morning, which those of you who have been to our sessions for a while, you know how important self-love is. But Tatiana, I want to dive in a little bit deeper and help people see the possibility of what it looks like to start doing this work, to start diving within, to start showing up for themselves, and to start removing all these shields and these layers and these protections. So I'm curious about where you are now and what you're looking forward to in regards to how your self-image has changed through this journey and what doors it's maybe opened for you.
Yes. And before I go into that, I want to share something that in based on what you say, because I think is so beautiful and important. Is like the example you say, our siblings, like be your sister did this better. And if we see, it's a simple little thing. So it's not what happened to us that it is a big thing. It's the energy we put into it and the meaning that we give it. So when we take the courage to dive into those aspects, like, oh, I put this meaning because I was 5 years old. Now I'm like 43 years old. Okay, so now I can hug that little 5 years old and it's not a big deal. So sometimes are little things, but our psyche, our mind, and all the energy and the stories make it this huge thing. Yes. So now I'm going to that. So can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, of course. So, where are you at now? What are you looking forward to? How has your self-image changed through this journey, and how has that propelled you into what you're looking forward to?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. So first thing is I'm not holding myself back anymore. And sometimes, yes, I do, because there's new things, new challenges, and I'm like, oh, can I do this? But even if it's with a little bit of fear or nervousness, don't hold myself back. Go for it. For example, right now I got invited just last minute. We have a big Taita shaman coming from the jungle to give a big speak, and they asking me to translate everything in English. And I'm like, and I done it before spontaneously because I'm in places with, can you translate? And I did it so great. I was like, wow, I think I can do all of this. But now that they put me in the spa and I'm scheduled and you have to go through the structure of the speech, I'm nervous and that's tomorrow. So I need all of your energy, please. But I know I can do it. So that's my thing is like we get nervous about new things, but it doesn't mean we have to stop ourselves from doing it. It's not like I don't speak English and Spanish. I know I have those two gifts in those two languages, and I may not gonna be doing perfect, and that's okay. So it's not holding myself back. Let me see. Don't holding myself back. Really be brave enough to go through these new opportunities and new challenges. And as I do that, and I open up myself up, and I'm vulnerable, knowing that I still have a little bit fear and things. I open myself to new relationships. There's new opportunity. There's more new opportunities. I have new relationships too. Like I want to share something. I'm in a new partnership right now, which it just happened a few weeks ago, and I just feel that it's so different. The conversations we've been having, and sometimes are very intimate conversations, things that happened in my previous relationships and traumas from childhood and something we're building is so magical because he opens up and he talks about his fears and we connect from a different place. And he's the one invite me to do this translation and we open a new business and we're gonna work together in a lot of like doing retreats and everything. And so that's what I'm talking like when we really open up and do the work, we start having new opportunities and doing things that we love and that serve to other people. We don't have to be in a job or in a relationship that we hate, but also seeing all those relationships and those experiences that I had through the years. Now I'm not the same person. It doesn't mean I'm not nervous and I'm not afraid, but I'm brave enough to do it because I'm not afraid of rejection. That's one of the things, biggest thing. Because one of the biggest things that people have is like we want to belong. We want to belong to our family, to our community, to a tribe. And all of those years that I was alone, that I say I was pretty much didn't have lost all my friends and everything. I had that separation. It's like, oh my gosh, something wrong with me. I'm separated from everything. I don't have my family. I didn't talk with my family, friends. And I understood one thing that it really, really worked for me is like, I belong to myself. I belong to my higher self. I belong to this planet Earth. I belong to life. I belong just because I was born. I don't have to belong to a community, to a this, to this. That happens as a ripple effect when I own myself and I say, I belong to life. And that happens, and the new opportunities and the new tribes and the new communities start just showing up. I'm here, I've been here in this country in Ecuador for like just a few months since February. And everything, all the work and all the struggles that I went through years, I'm like, I get it. I get it. I have friends and opportunities, business, new beautiful partner, just coming literally on my lap like this. But I did the work and I continue because it continues, but it gets more fun because, like, oh my gosh, me, I was afraid of this. What a silly girl. Like, so you start bringing humor to those aspects, and that's my just suggestion. If you're afraid, bring humor to it because life is too short. We take life too serious. Really, we're bigger than anything that it happens to us. We came to here to live this life as a challenge because we know deep inside something a higher self. It has everything we need to do to create a great story, to create a great, you go through that and then you use that power and the energy to create a story, to narrate a different story. And that's my intention when I came here. And that's what is happening. Completely different. So it's so worth it.
I love that, and I think it's so beautiful. And I'm listening to an audiobook, and one of the things they say, which we all know this, is if you're not growing, you're decaying. And they gave the example of if you have a newborn baby and the only thing that they're moving is their pinky, you're not going to think that that's normal. You're going to be like, what's wrong with my baby? What's happening? So growth is important and inevitable. And I think sometimes we get into our adulthood and we forget that and we stagnate a little bit. But you hear all the doors that are opening for Tatiana and all the growth that's coming. And if you're stuck and stagnating in the same story and not bringing life to it and not allowing it to move and to let it be a part of your story, but not let it be the whole story is really, really, really important. So we have a question in the chat, and I want to make sure that that gets answered as well. Tatiana, can you tell us how to handle when you feel socially awkward and worry about having conversations with people and what to say and what not to say? How do you handle that social awkwardness or just feeling like you don't know what to say?
So I have felt that in the past, and what I can say is when we feel that is because we already in our mind trying to fill the gap or trying to engage with those people or that person. And to me, it's like come back. You're coming energetically. You're coming out of like what can I do to be good or to sound good or to uh, show like I'm confident. You don't need to just bring your energy back. Feel if you need it, even to close your eyes in that moment. Take a few deep breaths and realize when you're coming out of yourself to be something and have and start feeling that like that switch when you come back to your body and feel present in what you feel in your body with your breath. And that in that specific occasion, you may don't need to say anything, because it's not what you say, it's not what you don't say, it's how you feel and your energy. Because sometimes we can impact a group of people when we walk into a place, not because we say something really smart and we interact with people, it's just because we show up. So in the beginning, a good practice is come back to your energy, come back to your body, breathe, don't judge yourself, and be quiet. That's it. Just be quiet. Don't talk if you don't have nothing important to say. It's okay just being in a group of people and just be quiet and feel peaceful. And I did that a lot, many times. And people would say, well, it's so nice to feel around you. You have such a soft energy. And I was like, and I started realizing that I bring that energy in places. I was like, I don't always have to be the more talkable and look at me and this. That's a show. Find your true energy and from stillness and silence first.
Thank you so much for that. I'm reading the book, some of you may have heard of it, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And a lot of it is the reminder of be here now. And it's exactly what Tatiana is saying. Be here now. Maybe you've felt like you've been awkward in the past, but right now you can be like, okay. I'm going to let go of all of the mental stories and I'm going to get silent and I'm going to get clear. And then usually there will be some spark of inspiration if you're supposed to say something. And it's going to come not from the mind, but it'll feel like more from like inside of you, like below the neck, usually. If it's up here, usually it's the mind. But usually, like when we're pulled towards something or to say something, it comes from a very different part of us. And you guys can drop 777 in the chat if you know the difference of that feeling, or maybe you're starting to acknowledge that difference. But that silence and letting go of that inner chatter, if you're supposed to make a move, you will feel that. So trust that feeling more and work on silencing this so that everything else can take up a little bit more space. We have a little bit of time. And I know that Tatiana and I originally had planned to do more of like a shamanic drumming session, but Zoom just changed all of their technological features. It's been a wild journey, but the drum wasn't showing up right for the session. So we're going to, well, not we, I'm going to do the meditation with you, but Tatiana's going to take us through a meditation and then we'll have a couple of minutes afterwards to reflect. We'll close out the session and then we'll be back tomorrow for the mentorship session. So Tatiana, can you take us away?
Yes, all right. So just get comfortable on your own body. And you can close your eyes. You can connect with your breath. However it is at this moment, without any judgment. Integrating everything that we have shared today, any emotion that came up for you, any memory, any sensation in your body. Just be present with everything, with no judgment. And I'm going to ask you to, from that place, to welcome in, to invite maybe a memory from your childhood where you felt that you were punished or pushed down, or you feel less. Or it can be just something that happened a few years ago. You may not remember a memory, but you have a sensation in your body. That's also a memory, is your body is speaking. Maybe you have tightness in your throat, in your back, in your heart, whatever is significant for you, whether it's a memory or whether it's a sensation in your body or an emotion. Allow the energy and your inner intelligence to make of this a door. And we're going to get ready to open that door and see what is behind that door with curiosity. it's been knocking, it's been calling for you for a while, whether it's through your emotion or a memory or a body sensation. So get curious about it. And imagine that you go and you open that door. When you open that door, you just have a little talk, a conversation with that 5, 6 years old, or you can just start talking with that part of your body and saying, hello, what's in there? What are you holding? What are you here to teach me? What gifts you have? Same with the emotions. If you feel sadness or you want to cry or grieve, it's like, what are you here to teach me? They're your teachers. And take these words and whatever you're feeling with you through the days and through, the next couple few days. So you can, whatever you remember today, you can continue working in the following days. Maybe journaling or something. And when you're in that space, just give this emotion, this sensation in your body, this 5, 6 years old little child, give your love and your compassion and initiate a relationship and say, I want to have a relationship with you, little child, or that part of my body, or that sadness. Can we build a relationship from now on and become friends, best friends? I want to hold you. I want to support you. And I want you to trust me, to talk to me and see what is hiding there and see what gifts are there. Bring this memory with you. Take it with you. Practices tonight and the next day. Knowing that you brought something from that space, from that dark room. You brought something like a little seed with you. Keep watering that seed. Take it with you. Trust that something was initiated in that moment. And now come back, come out of the door, close the door. You know it's there. You're gonna go back when you're ready. And whenever you're ready, you're just gonna start coming back into your body, present with your breath, moving a little bit. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you so much for that, Diana. We had Brandy in the chat say, well then, I wasn't expecting to cry during that. And it's a beautiful reminder of how powerful this work can be. Hmm. We have just a couple of moments left. If any of you have any questions or anything to share, you're more than welcome to drop it in the chat. Or Tatiana, if you have any final words, we would love to hear from you.
I just want to say something um, accentuate. That's how I say it. Something I say in the meditation, like keep this meditation with you in the next days because you opened that door already. For one of you was a sadness and cries. Like what else is in there? Have that curiosity to go back into that place and continue working in those because in those places, yeah, there is that emotion and that whatever is sensation or memory. But ask for the gift. What gift do I have here? Do I lost my confidence here or do I lost the whatever? You lost something there. So reclaim it back. That's a soul retrieval when we go through a memory and then we reclaim. We have to bring the treasure back. So remember you have a treasure there. So maybe journaling or go for a walk, whatever works for you, but bring that back because what's the point, right, to go to those shadow places if you don't bring back your treasure?
We're just treasure hunting out here. calling back pieces of ourselves, remembering how amazing we are, and hopefully using it to have a greater self-image, a more positive self-esteem, and to start opening up, these opening these these old doors from our past and working through them will help us open up new doors in our present and future. So we are so grateful and happy that you all were here with us today for the deep dive as we're closing out our self-esteem and self-image month. We do have the follow-up deep dive mentorship tomorrow, and that's at the same time on Zoom for 60 minutes. I'm dropping the link in the chat for you to be able to register for the session and join us for that. It is going to be really powerful to hear other people's stories, to relate. It's not a recording that's ever shared or anything along those lines, so it is a really great safe space for you. And we will be using a worksheet as well, which you all will have access to. I'll send it in the chat in the beginning of the session tomorrow. And it's a worksheet that you can take and do your own self-practice journey, or it is something that you can also use on a guide session as well. So I'm dropping Tatiana's Life Guides profile in the chat for you. Tatiana is one of our guides. You can schedule a call with her if there's anything that popped up on this call that you'd like to dive deeper into. You have access to her and diving deeper into a session. Next week, we have our remote slash flex work and productivity month starting. So we'll be transitioning into a whole new topic. So these are the final times here with us on this platform for programming where we'll be doing the deep, deep, deep work in the mentorship. So thank you all so much for having us and for trusting us with your hearts and your inner worlds and hopefully your future worlds as well. It's an honor and pleasure to be here with you, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.
So thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. And there's a survey that pops up at the end if you'd like to fill it out. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.